Miss Deb showed these pens off last month, and I thought they were absolutely gorgeous and asked her to do a demo for us. She said she'd be happy to, but she said it wouldn't be interesting. Well, I remember a while back we had a Zoom meeting with one of the chemists from Type Bond. It was not a riveting presentation, but it was very interesting, and we gained a lot of knowledge from it. We all love turning pens when we have those beautiful pieces of burl and those really unique pieces of wood, but those are hard to come by, and we often find ourselves with these plain Jane pieces of wood. Well, Ms. Deb tonight is going to show us a way to take those plain pieces of wood and really jazz them up. One of the pens she has up here, we showed it to Chris back there a while ago, our resident blank maker. He swore it was a acrylic blank. He was kind of dumbfounded when he found out, no, it's just a piece of wood that's been hand painted. So without any further ado, Miss Deb, it's all yours.
Okay. Let's see, I can make this exciting when I start coloring my fingers. But I kind of got started on this because I'm cheap. Or what was the other word that Johnny Tolley used? Frugal. I'm frugal. Yes. Okay. I gave some pens to some friends for Christmas, and they were acrylic pens. And one of the ladies came back to me later and says, "Oh, do you have a blue one? I want to buy a blue one." I said, "Well, I don't have a blue one, I don't think, but I'll go home and look." So I went home and I found kind of a sea green one, and I found a deep, dark red, white, and blue one. And then I thought, well, they're really not blue. So I painted my first one just to see what would happen. And is this one? No, I can't tell from the back. Anyway, I painted the first one. Oh, it's in the kit. Okay. And I took it over to her. She works at a restaurant, and I took her the 3 pens. And of course, the first thing she saw is the red, white, and blue acrylic. She said, "Oh, I want this one." So I learned how to paint that one that would appear for nothing, but I had a lot of fun doing it. I love painting, and I love messing with colors. And the first one really didn't come out that good, so that was okay. Anyway, that's I started experimenting. These are all done on maple, and the plainer the better. Jim does segmented turning, I think you all know that, and he uses a lot of maple and winds up with little strips left over that are too small to be real useful and too little to be safe on the table saw. Just the right size for pen blanks. So I have kind of a drawer full of those that he throws them in there for me. So I had the blanks ready. I had bought these years ago for something and never used them, so found them back on the shelf and pulled those out. And I bought these for a different project also years ago and pulled those back out. So I had everything I needed to try and fake an acrylic blank. Usually you see acrylic trying to look like wood. Well, I went the other way around, trying to make my wood look like it was not wood. And this is what I came up with. So what all it needs is the wood. I've also used poplar. It worked okay as far as color, but it's a looser fiber, and it didn't color as well. So I really like the maple better. I also tried using an ash, but I was in a hurry and I broke it, so that one never got finished. What I used to do this, I have several different ways that I do it, and I'm going to show you both ways, hopefully have time. These are ink, alcohol ink. Those of you who know me know I paint bowls. I do that with alcohol dyes. This is just a little bit different. I'm not sure what the difference is. It's a little bit different consistency. It's a little bit shinier, and it does not blend as well as the dyes do. But that's okay. For what I'm doing, it's just fine. I have these 3 colors. This pretty, they call it lake blue. It's kind of like a bluish teal or something. Red and yellow. And I also have a black. And these 3 colors are all I need to do all the colors that I want. And that paper that I handed out, that he handed out for me a little while ago, kind of goes over real roughly how I get all these different colors. So I use those, and pens like this one. I don't know if you can tell too well from there, but it's just kind of swirly. I did it with greens and purples there. It's got the green and purple swirls in it. So that was just done with the liquid ink, which I'm going to open soon. Exactly, Hobby Lobby. The labels are still on them. Yeah, this is what it starts out with, like this, just a plain maple. They're sanded to about 240 because they're nice and smooth, and I don't want them burnished. I want the ink to be able to go in there, so it's sanded to about 240. You do all your shaping and your sanding and everything first. You get it all done, it's ready to go, like you would go ahead and put your finish on it. That's when you paint it, because all you're doing is painting the surface. So if you turn on it again, it's all gone. If you sand on it too hard after you paint, it's all gone. If you rub too hard putting your finish on, it's not necessarily gone, but it's a bloomin' mess. Other than that, it's fine, yeah. The other way I've done it is to use these markers. And these are metallic markers. I guess you could use any you wanted, but I like the effect of the metallic markers. And I got these online, and I found these in...
You have to hold them in front of you, or they're off the counter.
Oh, I was just showing them to the people there. Okay, here we go. There. Got them. Do we have anybody on Zoom? One. Welcome on Zoom. And then these are our Office Depot. They're not very expensive, but I thought I'd try them because there's more colors in there. So those are what I use to do other type stuff, and this is one that I did with that. And it's not finished yet. It's going to be a seam ripper. But this is done with the fine tip metallic markers. And this is what I'm hoping to have time at the end to go ahead and do a CA finish on this, and I'll show you how it works on these. This one's not finished. It's just got a coat of the sparkle paint on top. There's several different ways that you can do it, different techniques. I've been experimenting with them. This one has a pattern, obviously. This was my rainbow pen. I need to pull it closer. It's just all going to fall off. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. I'll put it over here. There we go. All right. This was the rainbow motif. And this one just started out, I didn't know where I was going with it. I was just putting color blobs on there. And after a while, it started looking like balloons. So I put more color blobs on there, and I call it circus balloons. And then the sparkle that's on it is actually this dragon glaze, they call it. Color changing top coat, acrylic gloss finish. And it's real fine, so you don't feel it. When you put the CA over top, you really don't feel it. But it's just a slight glitter. I had another one that was a clearer, but it was the real glitter paint, and it had large chunks in it. I mean, large being relative, but way too big for a pen. So these ones work. This one, I did a background and then just kind of started making like little plant pieces or something on it. I have in the back of my mind when I do these acrylic blanks that I've seen, because I started out trying to look like a blue acrylic blank, so that's where I went with it. This one, I have a blank at home that's a pen at home that's black and white from acrylic, so I kind of did that with it, and it came out kind of close. So that's where I'm going with these. And yes, sir.
The first one you showed was a seam ripper, I think.
Yes.
It looked like it had some little designs on it. Did you paint those, or is there like a stamp or something?
There's no stamp. Those are all hand done with these metallic markers. I painted the background white with this spirit stain, and I painted it several coats just quickly, and then let it dry overnight, and then I put the decorations on with the fine tip markers. And I started the lattice around one side and worked my way around. And of course, when I got to the back where they were supposed to join, they didn't exactly. But they're close. And then the little flowers are just take the markers and just do little dabs, little dots, and the little swish for the leaves. And it's really very simple. There's nothing in here that's elaborate. It's,
As long as you're an artist.
Yeah. That's what I was asking about a stamp.
It's simple if you know what you're doing.
yeah, well, that's just it. You don't have to be an artist. All you have to do is just get the idea in your head. And if you don't have one, then look for one. What I'm going to do tonight, actually, I want to do something I haven't done before. This one is also painted with spirit stain. Whoops, but it's painted with black instead of with the white. And I'm going to see how it works with a black background, because these markers say they're ideal for dark backgrounds. So I'm going to try doing, it's kind of worn out, but something inspired by this. It won't be exactly the same, but this is a key that I had a long time ago. I used to work in fire tech, so I got a fire key for my house. So I'm going to try and do something that looks kind of like the orange and gold flames on the black background. And we'll see if it works. It may not. Haven't tried it. Yes.
Does the ink react to the wood the same when it's been pre-coated versus just sanded? Like, is it still glue and soak in or move or whatever the same way?
The only thing that I've tried on the ones that are coated with the stain is the markers. I don't put the ink on. I have not tried at this point the ink on those. It does kind of coat everything, so I'm thinking it might not work as well. But it's ink, it's not dye, so I don't know. It might. I just haven't tried it. The question was, does the ink work well on the blanks that have been coated with the spirit stain, and I don't know. Other way you can do it is you can just kind of take it, and this one was just dots. I just put little swirls and little dots and stuff all over it, and it almost looks like it's metallic. There is no metallic in here, it's just the colors. So, that being said, let's see if I can make a mess. You should have seen me trying to get my hands to look not totally disgusting before I came tonight. Yep, just don't move them where I can't reach them. Okay. Before I came, I mixed up my colors that I was going to be using. If you have those handouts, I'm not an art teacher, and I've actually never really even been an art student. So what you're seeing on there is mostly what I learned in grade school and experience. I discovered it's not even a set 3 primary or basic colors. It could be red, blue, and yellow, or it could be magenta, cyan, and yellow. But those 3 that I have there are the ones that I use. The red, the blue is more of it's kind of a cyan blue. It's not really blue, and it's not really cyan either. It's a beautiful color. It's in between. It's the one that I did those blue ones down there on the end with. These 2 down here. Usually I dilute it. If I need a really, really dark, I got this on wrong. If I want a really, really dark place, then I'll use it straight, but mostly I dilute it with alcohol. And then I control how dark it is with how much alcohol I use. If you want a light, if I put the blue or the red with a lot of alcohol, it comes out a light red or a light blue, but it's that same color blue. If I want like a pastel, if I use a lot of alcohol with red, it doesn't come out really pink. It comes out just a light red. If I want it pink, then I mix it with the stain, the white stain, and it'll be pink. It's a little bit different texture. If I didn't have the CA on it, you would be able to tell one from the other with your fingers. It doesn't feel quite the same. Okay, so this one I'm going to try to make like that key with the flames on it. We'll see what happens. I'm going to start at this end, I guess, and make my flames go up like that. But we're going to do that with this. So, let's see. These are Sharpies. Mm-hmm. Sharpie brand and everything. These ones are. These are not. Those are the Office Max rip-offs, knockoffs, whatever. Okay, let's see. I don't know if you can see where I'm at here. There, okay. Um, okay. Let's see if it even works on. Oh, yeah, it does. There you go. It says it works well on dark colors. So we'll try putting a flame of some sort. See, I'm going to have to drop this down a little bit. It's not as bright as I would have liked. You should never do something for the first time on a demo, I know that. I don't know that I've ever had a boring demo in that case. Yeah, it's kind of stylized flames because all those years I worked in that fire testing lab, they didn't exactly look like this, but I think when we get the CA over top too, it'll brighten it up a lot. That's the only trouble with putting lights over stuff when you're working on, especially on the lathe, they kind of go away. What you're doing disappears. All right, let's see, where am I going to come back together? Right here. So we'll put a little one up here and a little one up like that. And then hopefully they'll meet at the bottom and they'll look okay. So I'm starting out with something simple. Just get you the idea what we're doing here. We can try. It loses its resolution if you go too close. Can you zoom a little bit? Okay. There. See? Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to drop it back down where you can't see it again. All right. So this one's almost done. Not quite, but almost done. We have to give it some pizzazz. This doesn't pop. A little bit of gold makes everything better though, right? Let's see. We'll find out. I have two golds. Not sure which is going to be the best. See, I brought a piece of paper to test it on. It's in my box somewhere. We'll just do this. Now this gold. Thank you. So I do this. I have little pieces of white paper on where I work, and I have scribbles all over them because I like to find which color I like best. Yes. There. There's not much to see. It's just a scribble. One looks greener than the other. I like the first one better, so we're going with the first one.
Well, it is a knockoff.
It's a different shade. I got it because they are different shades, so I have a much wider variety of colors. These, I have no idea what's in these markers. They don't smell the same as these, but so far they seem to work. But I have not put CA over them yet, so I guess I'll have to say the jury's still out. Can you see what I'm doing, or is my head in the way? This is not hard. It's not hard. It's not quite as bright or red as I would have liked. It's kind of a subdued flame. But that's okay. I actually tried drawing stuff on with a pencil on that one that I showed you before, the seam ripper, the white one with the drawing. I tried pre-drawing it with pencil, and it was a mess, so I just erased all the pencil and went for it. It does pick up the black a little bit. But now I know if I want to do this pattern again and have it be brighter, I will do it with the regular paints and not with the metallic markers. Yeah, you can tell the gold has picked up a little bit of the dark because it's back where I started, and it's a darker gold than it started. But there it is. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this one. Maybe I'll make some more points at the top.
Is the black base alcohol based, or is it?
I think it is. I'm not honestly sure. It cleans up with alcohol. It's this, Chestnut Products, Ipswich, England. No, it's Chestnut Spirit Stain. I don't remember where I got it. I think I got it at SWAT. Maybe one of those things that, the walnut log guy was selling, maybe? What's his name? I can't remember his name. I know he sold me my dyes, my liquid dyes, so he may have had that too. Jeff Horning, that was it. Might have been one of his, but I don't know. Oh well, there it is. So that's the first one we're going to try. Any questions on that one? No? Pretty straightforward, right? Anybody can do it. I don't know. they're on the dye, on the stain. I don't think I've put them directly on the maple. They probably wouldn't, because if even the alcohol ones really don't do that much, I don't imagine the Sharpies would do that too much. I like to use the alcohol dyes when I do bowls and platters and stuff, because when I put the alcohol on them, they blend very easily. That's why I have to do wood burn outline all around them to cut those fibers and contain the color where I want it to stay. On here, I'm not doing that. I'm just letting it flow, and with the ink, it doesn't seem to flow that much. So I don't think the markers would probably flow that much either. Okay.
You're saying that the alcohol blends with the alcohol that's underneath it?
It can.
Put layers of alcohol, so...
The alcohol just, I mean, it's really thin, and it's what do you call it? It makes it bleed, yes. It evaporates very quickly, but it makes stuff bleed into it. If I put this on, this is the stain, different consistency from the ink, different from the dye. This is a much thicker. It sits on the surface of the wood more than it goes into it. But it still will spread out when you put the alcohol on it. This pen here, I'll pass it around. You can look at it. See those light marks, those light stripes? It really shows under the light better than it does in person. That was the white stain. But as soon as I put it on the blue background, it took that blue. And it doesn't do it maybe originally, but as soon as I put any finish on it, it will do it. Even if I just put that fixative spray, it will do it to some degree.
So the next layer of alcohol will kind of dissolve the layer underneath slightly?
It blurs it. It'll blend it. Not as well as it does with the alcohol dyes. Not as well. I use it as a tool on the platters, and it works really well. On here, it's a little bit harder to get it to blend. Okay, this guy was my idea for this guy. Oh, if you're not sure what you want to do, and you're trying to make it look like an acrylic, find an acrylic. That's something you want to copy. So this was something that looked like maybe we could copy tonight. It wouldn't take too long. We're just red, white, and blues. So I'm not gonna put the white down first in this case, because I want the red to be sharp, the blue to be sharp, and the white to be sharp. So I'm gonna have to try to put them down individually and let them blend just at the edges. We'll see. So these are my dyes, my inks. Take it back. I started using the inks. For one thing, I found them in my cabinet. But another thing, when I was at SWAT one time, I went to a demo. Actually, it was a booth where Jimmy Clues was working, and he was talking about turning flaming box elder and the beautiful red flame that you get in that box elder that will fade to brown with sunlight over time. And he was saying what he did with his was he just took red India ink and he airbrushed it over the red so it never went away. So I'm thinking, well, if India ink doesn't fade on platters and bowls, maybe I should try it on pens and see if it would be more stable on pens. I don't know that the others aren't because I haven't kept them long enough to find out. But this was ink, although when I look at it, nowhere on there anywhere does it say it's India ink, so I don't know whether it's any more stable or not. But that was how I wound up with it. So I'm going to start with, it doesn't really matter except the white's going to be last. Normally, if I'm mixing all different colors, you start with the lighter color on the bottom because you can cover the lighter color up with something darker, but you're never going to cover the darker one up with something light. So if I want red and yellow, I'm not going to put the red down first and then try to get yellow to mark on top of it. But I can put the yellow down first and then put the red on top. And if it blends really well, I'll get an orange. If it doesn't, I'll get a bright red through the middle and it'll kind of blend out and bleed out near the edges. So let's start with blue. Get this out of the way so I don't make it blue flames. Gas stove. Okay. And find a medium brush of some kind. And these are inexpensive brushes. I just pick them up at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, the multi-packs. Let's try this one. And it's probably not going to be the same shade of blue because I didn't worry about what shade it was when I made it. This isn't a very good brush. I have to find a better one. Sometimes I like the bristles to stick out. It makes interesting patterns. But if you don't want the interesting patterns, you don't want your bristles all haywire. So you can tell I'm very carefully outlining where I want this to go, right? Not. This blue I made by mixing the red with that pretty lake blue or whatever they call it, the kind of cyan blue. Just mix it until I like it. No set formula for that. It's just whatever you want, whatever you like. Okay, so there's blue. Jim made me that little stand so I can put stuff there, let it dry or hold it. Yeah. Whoops. Good brush. All right. Where's this one? I filled a bunch of little cups with alcohol so I could clean my brush as I go. Like I said on that paper, the only colors that I don't make separate are the three basic ones, and white and black. I buy black ink and I use the white stain. So in this little part, I have brown and I have black in this one. You can tell me, I will move it. You don't have to get up. And when these things dry up, the cool thing about alcohol-soluble dyes is you just put a few more drops of alcohol in there and they come back. You have to let them dry for a long time before you can't bring them back. All right, now we'll go for red.
Now is the blue dry already?
Yes. See, well, you can't tell on a blue glove, but yes, it's blue. It's dry. It will probably set more if you let it dry longer, but for right now, for all intents and purposes, as far as I'm concerned, it's dry. Alcohol goes away so fast.
Can you use bourbon?
I don't know. Question was, can you use bourbon? Yeah, this is not the drinking alcohol. Absolutely not. Unless you want to not survive very long. Okay. At home, I would probably be taking a lot longer with this, getting just the right pattern. This is being way more random, which is actually what I'm trying to show, so that's okay. I think I got this brush out of one of my grandkids' watercolor sets.
Alcohol is denatured or just isopropyl?
It's DNA, denatured. I've been told it doesn't have to be, it's just I've never used the isopropyl. I was at a demo last year at SWAT, I guess it was, or maybe it was in Chicago, I don't remember. There was somebody there who was just coming unglued because people were using denatured alcohol. And he says, it's dangerous, you should be wearing respirators, you should be wearing gloves. People take this way too casually, and I'm thinking, okay. But anyway, if it's going to get me, it got me years ago because I've grown up in a lab my whole adult life, and we've always had DNA in the labs. One lab or another. Okay, let's see. Now this is the white, and it's thin. I usually put some up here in the lid and hope some of that alcohol will evaporate quickly so it'll get a little bit thicker for me. And sometimes it works. So now we're going to paint this. And you'll see what I mean about getting in with the edges. Any questions about this particular technique?
Does it shade at all? I noticed that blue right there looks like it.
Yes, it will shade some, and I will get to there in just a minute. Right now I'm just trying to get an even white down the middle of those little avenues. For those of you,
You're painting the white so it'll be all one level?
I'm painting the white because it's whiter than the wood,
Okay.
and because it helps to smooth over the edges of the colors.
Do the different paints dry at different thicknesses? If you put CA on there, for instance,
Um,
get a smooth CA finish.
no, not so as I've ever noticed. Not enough to really matter anyway. The white, that's interesting. The red got on top of the blue and I've got a green sheen to it. I'm always seeing interesting things with colors. See, can you see that where it's blending in there? Unfortunately, because I didn't want it to. Just about work my way around. Now we can go back and... This white doesn't cover real well. It soaks into the wood. So if you really want it to be thick enough to see, so you have to go over it several times sometimes.
You're putting that directly on the wood.
Yes, sir, I am. This case, it goes directly on the wood.
And what did you say, what grit did you say you sanded it down to?
240, 220, 240, whatever you've got in that range.
Did you wet sand it?
Not at that point, no. Just sand it. Okay, now you'll see if it blends a little bit around the edges. Who wanted to know that? Super tool. And the other thing you can do if you want to blend it, see I've got some of them blended in a little bit, or if you don't call it blended, kind of feathered out at the edges. This is not going to be one of my best achievements, but I'm showing you techniques, so you can take the techniques and do whatever you want to with them. Now I'll show you something else. I have a lot of those. I'm not proud, I will admit it. Hmm?
Have you ever tried to
resand and start another blank over, or get everything done off?
No.
I just wondered how permanent it was.
You could sand it off, but by the time you were done sanding it off, it probably would be too small for your bushings, for your, yeah, there's not a lot of wood under there. You can see the ends there. They're pretty thin. Okay, so I went and put the different ways that you can blur the edges. You can put the different color on it, white, and then blur it in, or you can just put a little bit more alcohol on it and blur it in. If you've got it too dark somewhere, you don't like it that dark, you can take some alcohol and just kind of clean it out a little bit in the middle. I keep forgetting to move it over. I don't know if you can see that or not. It made it a little bit lighter in the middle. I really don't like that green sheen right there. Whoops. But there it is. So I'm going to probably stop while I'm ahead, maybe. And this is going to look strange. It doesn't look quite like this one, but it's got kind of the same colors in it. So that's what I was aiming for. And if you want to copy a blank, like I said, that's kind of how I started out. I didn't have it in front of me at the time, but I had it in my head, what I thought it would look like. So that's what I did. I just happened to have that one, so I grabbed it and brought it. I can't think of any good reason why a red, white, and blue pen should have sparkles on it. But if I did, at this point, I would take one of these two, what are they called? The dragon glaze. I'd take one of these two, let it dry for a few minutes. Doesn't have to dry very long because it dries quickly, and then paint a thin layer of this over top of it, and it will go just directly over top. And this is an acrylic as opposed to this alcohol ink, and they seem to get along fine. They don't seem to interfere with each other. So, not the Star Sparkled Banner. I can put sparkles on it if you want. Anybody want sparkles? All right, we'll do sparkles. Let's see. we will do color changing top coat in green, gold, red shift. Okay, I thought I threw my favorite pen in. What did I do with it? My favorite paintbrush. Where did I go? I need a big, fat, soft one. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? All right. I didn't break it, but I don't see my brush. Oh well. I will use another one. I have more. It just needs to be soft. To put this over it, you don't want to scratch what you've already put on. So to put this top coat over it, you need a soft brush. And I have one at home that's really pretty much worn out because I use it all the time for stuff like that. Wait. I did bring it. It's right here. And it's all uneven and kind of dog-eared looking. But it's we all have our favorite tools, right? You ought to see my roughing gouge. Okay. Yeah, feel free to holler out at me because I get watching this and I forget to look at the monitor.
Is that self-leveling, or do you have to pretty much level that with the brush?
I level it with the brush. I don't know if I have to, but I do. Like I said, I get a really soft brush because I don't want to scratch anything, and then just kind of pull it gently. It's hard to tell from the camera, but it does glitter. And it actually did blend the colors a little bit more. It doesn't usually do that. Okay, so we're done with that one.
Would you ever use a hair dryer or a heat gun to clean up your dryer?
I did once no, I did just to dry the coat of the spirit stain. I never have used it for the alcohol. By the time I got the thing out and turned on, it would be dry. Alcohol just doesn't take long at all. The spirit stain does take a little longer, and I usually leave that overnight. Like that black one that I did first, that one, wherever it went there, I painted that yesterday evening and left it for today.
Debbie, when you do these others that are over here that are more, I can just see one right there on the edge.
It's the same thing that I did on this one. These are the alcohol inks, okay? Not the markers. This is the ink, that's the ink. This one I started out with basic black and dark blue, and I just kind of up and down and a little bit, swirl them just a little bit, and then I took the white and I went through and made marks with the white, just kind of at random. And then I took the sparkle, one of the sparkle ones, I don't remember, the blue and green one, and I just went over some of the white lines instead of the dark ones to make those white ones pop out a little bit. So that's how I did that one. Again, very simple technique. It's just...
Well, when this completed cleaning, this looks very much different than what you just finished.
I spent a lot more time on this one. You want to pass that around? People can look at that. I didn't actually like that one. When I was done, I didn't like it. It wasn't what I had in my head. Wasn't what I was aiming for. But now I don't remember what was in my head when I started it, so I've learned to like it. It's fine now. Yes, I like it now. Let's see. I'm just showing you a little bit different styles, and none of them going to be super good. This is one of my more creative, I guess, designs for a slimline pen. This is actually a chic line. It has the little tiny skinny band that'll go in it. So I make different shapes. So this one will look like this, with the tip down here, like that. So this one's going to be done in greens and yellows. Now I get to use both ends of my stick. Okay, I'm going to start with yellow since I'm going to do green and yellow. And yellow is part of green. I'm going to start by doing the whole thing yellow as an undercoat. Back when I took painting back in the donkey days when I was probably 11 or 12 years old, the teacher taught us to put a base coat before we did anything, put a base coat. So I'm going to put a base coat of yellow on this. Back to my trusty, now clean, soft brush. And this is straight yellow. Okay.
Debbie, can you slide that to the right?
Yes, sir, I can. Stop moving. Okay, that one's done, but now I'm going to turn it around again so I can, actually I need to paint on this end, but there we go, now I can see it. I'll paint this end. So this is just my base yellow undercoat, and it's very yellow. This was straight out of the bottle over there.
The sparkle on this pen here, is it by putting that sparkle on it?
Yes. Yes, and instead of putting it with the soft brush over the whole thing, I took a small brush and just kind of painted over the white, the white stripes. Okay, now, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about this. Let's think about it for a minute. Okay, I'm diluting this green out a little bit so it won't be quite so thick. I do have something in mind for this, but I'm not going to tell you what it is in case it doesn't work. So now we have a mixture, should have a mixture of stripes of green and yellow. And it's light green, very light green. So now let's try something a little darker. We've got the background set. We've set the scene. Now we need to get the characters in it. Let's try a little bit of straight green and see what it looks like. Keep your fingers crossed. You could do any of these. There isn't a person in here who can't do these. Everybody in here is an artist, or you wouldn't be in here. I mean, just different mediums. This is still the green. This is just the straight green now, the dark.
You used a diluted green first, and now you're going full strength.
Now I'm just putting, I'm putting details, if you want to call it that, on the green.
So what are you going for?
Green. So far there's no blue, I'm succeeding. Okay, now let's, do I have lines on both sides here? All right. Now, let's make the center bands, those little bumps, a little bit bigger. Come on, get up here. I use this for my dissolving or evaporating rack at the top there. You got it. I started some of these and I had no idea what it was going to be. I just started painting. I picked out 2 colors that I liked and that I thought would go together, and I went from there. But if you don't like doing that or don't feel comfortable doing that, you can do the other things I did. I'd go for my key, the key pattern, or go for the blank that you already have, the acrylic, not the acrylic blank, acrylic pen. You could copy the blank, but then as you know, when you turn the pen, it doesn't necessarily look much like your blank did on the outside. So you don't want to copy the blank. It will, when you turn it, it will look just like the blank. It's not going to change much. Okay, that's kind of what I tried that once. I tried that once. I am not an airbrush person. No, it was not pretty. Literally and figuratively. I don't really know. That was part of my questions. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what to use to do it. It was weird. It takes practice. I mean, there's a lot more skill, I think, in that than there is in this. This green isn't quite dark enough to do what I had in mind, but it's going to have to do.
Do you ever take photography with the paint as well?
To some degree, yes. Not the shading and the whole thing like that, but I do use the wood burner when I do the bowls and platters because I have to cut that line to confine the alcohol dyes that I use for that. If you don't do that, then the dye runs through the fibers of the wood and it makes a mess. You wind up with ragged edges. Some woods, in that case, work a lot better than others. Maple is pretty good unless it's just super, super dry. If it's super, super dry and you put that alcohol dye on there, it just takes off. It'll go clean through the wood. You'll find colored speckles on the back of the platter, which I've done. But these I'm not trying for that. They're so thin. I'd be afraid to try to wood burn these. I'd go right through to the tube. Yeah, I don't have a tip fine enough to do it, and I'm just haven't felt inclined to do it. But doing something that doesn't have to be exact, like these, I mean, the actually kind of the funkier the better in a lot of cases. Now, I don't know if anybody can tell what this is supposed to be. What? Yes, sir. That's exactly what it was supposed to be. Thank you. Yes, that was what was in my mind when I started this.
I saw algae on a yellow fishing bobber.
Well, I have the fishing pole, you can have the bobber. Okay, let's see. I'm going to take, I have never made brown before. This is my first attempt at making brown, so let's see what it looks like. Just going to put a little touch of it on the nodes in the, I don't know what you call these things, but a little bit of touch of brown. I actually looked up some pictures of bamboo on the internet before I came, so this isn't totally random out of my head. Can you still see me? Okay. If I wander out of the field, yell at me again. Okay, now this doesn't look like much right now, but that should probably polish up with the CA really impressive, I hope, I think. I'm happiest with this one of any of the three at this point. And these, I can put these in the bring back if y'all want to do your own finishing. Before you go, we can spray them with a coat of that.
So you workable coat them before you?
Yes. I have done it without, and it works. It's just that you'll take off a little bit more of the color. You have to be a little bit gentler, but you can do it. I discovered the fixative gives me maybe one pass free, because the first pass with the CA will take that off, and it'll leave my color. So as long as I'm I don't like finishing my pens with the thick CA. I've never liked doing that. But in these cases, I do. For the first maybe 4 or 5 coats, I use the thick to get as much over that paint as I can early on.
Have you tried the GluBoost on this?
Yes, that's all I've used on these. All of these are done with GluBoost.
Not regular CA.
I haven't used another CA in a long time. My CA finishes are long. I will warn you. I'm not a quick person. I'm not and done. But we'll do that. This will work real well. So now I have a whole new set of stuff besides colors and sprays over here. These are all what I'm going to use when I do my finish, and I'll just put them out here and I'll talk about them when I get to them. Jim got a CNC machine, and he's been finding things to make, so he made me a GluBoost caddy. This is my favorite kind of mandrel. I don't know if you guys have had this kind or not. It's a white side, and you can adjust it so you don't have to stack all your 7mm bushings out there. Just make it the size that you need. And I like to use the nylon bushings. I glued a few metal bushings to my tubes and didn't have to do too many of those to decide I like these better. I didn't bring any cardboard. Something to put under here. Something to put under here. Okay. Most of this is going to be done without it even turned on, but the polishing, it needs to be turned on. Okay. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm beginning to hate gravity. Okay. Do we have the camera working on this one? Yeah, I guess we do. I can see it. Okay. I'm going to start with putting a nice big glob of this thick CA on here, and I'm going to start here and just touch it lightly, do like 1 turn or 2 turns, and work my way down. And hopefully when I get done there is no blue showing on that paper. So that was pretty good, I guess. And I do use this when I do these because I want to get done. And blowing on it doesn't dry it off, but the moisture in your breath helps to cure it. You're not evaporating anything out of it, you're just curing it with the moisture. And it does help. This is not instant in spite of what they'll tell you. So this time I'm going to do it again and start at the other end. Same thing, put a big old glob on here. And start at this end on my little blue ball, which is a little blue ball just because I liked it, not for anything particular. And work my way down again. Okay, and again I don't have any blue on that paper. So this one worked well so far. The flowers still look like flowers. The last coat that I put on it was the sparkle, and that's water-based acrylic, and it doesn't seem to come off with the CA near as bad as just the alcohol. How it holds up, I don't know, because I haven't kept one that long. These are new, so we'll find out. Those of you who have one of my pens, let me know if it flubs up on you. That was two. And now I'm not so worried about it because it should have enough coats on it now that it's not going to go through. I may be leaving bumps on it, but thick. I use the thick because I want to cover that paint as fast as I can and rub it as little as I can. So the thick is more cushioning and it puts more on at the same time.
Put pressure on it or just float it?
Just enough pressure to float it evenly. I don't like to push on it hard. I do sometimes get bumps in it, and we'll take care of that in a minute. It's not fun, but it works. I got just a tiny hint of green or yellow on there. And the only yellow that I have on there is in the green, so it probably came from the green somewhere. It's we call it rag in a box, something like that. It's supposed to be a lint-free paper towel. Emphasis on supposed to be. It does still have lint in it, but not as bad as a lot of the regular paper towels. I'm not impatient or anything. I'd like to say it's because I really want to get done on time for you guys, but I actually do that at home too. And I lost track. Is this 5?
It's like that prayer, please, Lord, give me patience.
And give it right now.
Hope everybody notices whenever she checks to make sure it's ready for the next coat, she always checks it on the bottom side so it can be visible.
I don't want to see what I did. That's right. I don't know why I do that. I just always have. Okay, now at this point I'm going to let it dry a little bit better. And I'm going to do my preliminary first buffing job on it. I like to do it in 2 pieces because if I have bumps on there and I keep going, they just get bigger. And when I'm done, it's twice as hard to get them out. And usually by the time I get the big thick part out, I've gone all the way back down to the paint on the rest of it. So to me, it's worth it to just stop halfway through and do a preliminary smooth off and then do the rest of it. Hopefully at this point, if there were any holes in it, any cracks, it's all filled in. And when I smooth it off, it'll be smooth all the way up and down. And then when I put the next coats on, it will be easy sailing, in theory. It's just about dry enough to do. Somebody say something, it's way too quiet. Yeah, if you snore now, you're going to get caught. I do usually a first go through with the steel wool, 4 zeros. 4/0. And I don't usually do it anywhere near this fast. So we may or may not do this very much. It seems usually it's a little less aggressive than sandpaper. Just depending on how you use it. I'm just really barely touching it. I like to pull it flat so that the part that's hitting the wood is as straight as I can get it, and then hold it like that so that the ridges, if they hit the flat part, the ridges will go away. If I put it all the way around it and hold it tight, then all I'm doing is making it bend with all of the ridges, so I wind up with nice smooth ridges and valleys instead of getting rid of the ridges. Then of course, if you're sanding around circles, then you got to do it up and down in opposite direction. And this is not going to be as smooth as I would like it because this is just going too fast. I can't use the lathe to do it. All right, let's try something else. You know what? I forgot to bring them. I knew I had to forget something, and I wouldn't know what it was till I ran into it and didn't have them. I don't have my sanding pads, I think. Okay, there you go. Usually, I would put this on low, about the lowest my lathe goes is about 129, 130. I would put it on, and I'd leave these on the foam backing disc, again, to keep them flat. And I would just do it real gently with the thing running at about 130 until I got it feeling smooth. I didn't have real good luck with the belt. I got it on the second to the lowest. To polish it, I'm going to need it to be faster, and I didn't want to change it twice. I was lazy, I guess. Is there anybody who doesn't do CA finishes in here? You never have? Okay. When you...
I was gonna ask you, I've seen on YouTube where they put it on, but the machine's running and they put it on that way.
And I do that a lot of times for regular pens, but not for these.
The colors that you're wearing.
Although, I'll be honest, I've gotten more to doing more of it with it off than with it on. I don't get as much circular.
I probably wouldn't do it with that, they turn that fast.
Maybe at its slowest speed, 500, it's a little fast.
This one's it's 8. The second slot is 800, and that's what this is now. I think the first one was 600. I don't want to take the flowers off, and it just doesn't feel good. I don't like it when it doesn't feel good. Anyway, when you do the CA, you put it on, and then when you start sanding it down, you want to smooth it down until it's uniformly hazy. You get it done and it looks so nice and shiny, and you think, all right, I'm done. And no, you're not, because you're going to take your sandpaper and you're going to get rid of all of that shine. And I like to say you're going to get the sparkles out. Not the sparkles that I put on with the paint, but the parts of the CA that are still shiny. You want to get all those shiny spots out. What those shiny spots are valleys. So you don't really get the shiny spots out so much as you lower the edges until you can sand it even with the rest of it. And if you go too far, then of course you're back down to your wood, which never ever happens. So anyway, I'm showing you how I usually do it, but it's not coming out the way it usually does, but you get the idea. Okay, let's see. I do have a buffing pad. Let's see. Micro mesh. I need that treadle. right, we'll settle for that because this is only the preliminary anyway. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to my thin CA. Now that I've got it covered, I like the thin better, it flows better.
So what's the brand that you were using there before?
GluBoost. GluBoost. Put it overhead. The orange is the thin, fill and finish thin. And then this one is the fill and finish pro formula. It's the thicker one.
If y'all are new members, maybe it's a Christmas party, because they're one of our sponsors. They have a lot of specific models every year.
It's a nice finish. It was originally developed as a finish and not as a glue, although it's a CA. It was developed, as I understand it, to be a finish. So it has a little bit different qualities. I think it's a little more self-leveling. It's got a little bit more flexibility to it. It doesn't crack quite so easy. It looks pretty. It was made for people that, what do you call them, luthiers? Luthiers? Who make violins and guitars and stuff like that as a finish for the musical instruments. And if you know what those look like, they're like mirror finishes on those things. Bless you. I have these pieces about this long, and I start up here, and I put 5 before I do that interim thing, if it's going well. If it's not going well, I might put more with the thick. If I've got holes like I did, actually, this one is the poplar, so there were a few more holes in this, but most of them got filled up with the stain. But if they have holes, like you're doing something Paduke that has the coarse fibers, when you cut through them, you got all the holes, coarse grain, and I may use more coats of that. Usually if I'm doing a real coarse grain, I start with the thin because I want to get that thin in there. The thick is too thick to go in, those little holes. So I put the thin and I rub it pretty good so I can get that thin to go in. And then I might do a few coats of the thick and then go back to the thin. I prefer to use the thin when I can. And it's starting to brighten up a little bit. And it was a little bit shiny before because of the acrylic sparkle, but I don't know if you can tell real well or not, but it's starting to shine a little bit. Yeah. This time when I do the finishing, it's going to have to be nice because it'll be the final one. Hopefully, I won't have to go back and redo any of it. I say, watching a CA finish isn't real exciting unless something goes wrong. I'm not hoping for excitement. And we had a demo in Waco a few years ago. Some guy was showing how to do the CA finish. He says, oh, you spray it and it's instantly dry. No, it's not.
Well, if you let it run longer, will it dry?
Oh, yeah, it'll dry. But the running doesn't really matter. It's not the air that's drying it. It's the actual chemicals in it have to cure whatever that is involved in that. That's why I blow on it, because the moisture in my breath will help it cure faster. You don't ever want to put water on CA glue or get CA glue in water. If you get your fingers sweaty and get it on your fingers, it will cure right on your fingers and start smoking and leave you a beautiful blister. So I've been told. Gordon asked the other day if I use more of the GluBoost than I do with the regular CA, and probably yes. The answer to that is probably yes. I put a heavier coat than I used to with the other CA. Don't know if I have to, but again, I'm impatient. I want to get done. And it seems like I don't wind up with as many spots that aren't covered. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it used to be half the time I would get all done and I would have the wood blank and I would have the CA finish and I'd have it all shined up and I'd go look at it really close and there's one spot that's bare wood or one spot that just didn't polish because it doesn't have the same amount. And I don't have that happen near as often with the GluBoost. It does happen, but not nearly as often. So I think it covers a little bit better. One more, and then we'll hope we're done. I like to kind of put it on swirly, and I do put it on the bottom because that way the wood is rolling through the glue.
And it doesn't include your mandrel.
To the mandrel, no. To the bushings, occasionally, if 9 times out of 10 is occasionally. I have nylon bushings, yes. And if you take a part that's already dry, the edge of the paper is hard, and you kind of put it in there like that, it helps to loosen it before you take it off. I didn't spray it. Feels good. It cured on its own. If you spray it enough times, sometimes there's still some on there when you put the next coat, and then it cures. Helps to cure it faster. It feels pretty good. So now is where I would do my pads with the. Let's see if we can do it with these. You got to forget something, right? That was not what I would have chosen to forget. I'm afraid to touch this hard. I'm not touching it hard enough to even get the bumps out. Oh, where's that water? Now is where we can wet sand. I am recycling the bottle. Anybody used to watch Monk? Remember there was only one kind of water he would use? Remember he got stuck in Mexico on one of the shows and they didn't have the right kind of water? So I do this through several, even if I had the right sanding stuff with me, I still do this. I still go through these grits with the wet sanding. It's just usually a whole lot smoother by this point. And I'm not pushing hard on this at all. It's supposed to be 600, but it sure feels a lot faster than that to me. Yeah. Oh well, it is what it is. I'm not changing it, but it's too fast. Do not do this at home. Make it slower than that. It's beginning to feel okay. I don't know what you can see on it. Okay, well, a little bit more right there. Okay. Like I was telling some folks before, I've kind of made my CA finish is a combination of everything I've ever seen put together. So now we go to something that's really cool. How many of you have this Dr. Kirk's? Dr. Kirk's Micro Magic. It's a polishing wax. And there's 3 of them. And I could not do it and go all the way through 9 levels of micro meshes. Or I do the first ones just because I think it gives this a boost. And then go to these. And it doesn't take but a little bit. This is what they are. Whoops, right side up. Dr. Kirk's. Yes. Those of you who know Dr. Kirk, it's Kirk to hear, and he works at Craft Supply. Fantastic turner. Great sharpener. Let's see what you can see. I can see it. I don't imagine you guys can see too much yet. But it's beginning to get a shine line on it. It's a wide shine line right now. That was the first one. This is number 2. It gets finer grit as you go up the numbers. So this is number 2. Again, doesn't take but a little bit. Probably more than doesn't take as much as I got there. These are just plain old blue paper shop towels. And I'm beginning to see that line come up nicely. Remains to be seen as if I didn't take my color off my edges. Hopefully not. Okay, one more. This one, and then we're final polishing. So I'm going to make sure I got it evenly all over it. Making noises at me. Okay, that's done. This next step, a lot of people don't do, and it may not be necessary. I think it makes it shine just a little bit better, but a lot of people just stop with number 3 of Kirk's Magic. I like to just do a little bit extra. I think it shines it just a little bit better. This is Novus Plastic Clean and Shine. And there is a grit in it, so you do need to mix it. Otherwise, it all settles in the bottom. Not done yet, but wait, there's more. Novus Fine Scratch Remover. Let's see, find a spot here. Yeah, it may just be, what's the term, polishing the apple or something, but finishing the finish. Yes, finishing the finish is a big deal, but sometimes it doesn't need it, but I like to give it every opportunity to be shiny. And I think it does shine up a little bit more. Yeah, it's got a nice gloss. It's just not as smooth as it could have been if I had had my sanding pads, but it doesn't look bad. It's not bad.
So maybe what were the last two things you put on it after smashing?
This is a plastic cleaner. I put this on first, Novus. It's a 3-step thing. Number 1 is the spray shine, clean and shine. Number 2 is the fine scratch remover. And number 3 is the heavy scratch remover. I hardly ever use 3. If you've done all these other steps, you shouldn't have heavy scratches left, but.
You put on the heavy scratch.
If I had bad scratches, yes. The instructions that I got way back when, and I don't even know where, I don't know if it was from them or somebody else, you clean it with this first. You sand, you're all done, and you put your glue on, and you sand it to wherever you want to sand it to. You're ready to polish it. You wash it with this, and you get all of the dust and junk off of it from sanding it. Then you put your polishes on. The number 1 if you need it, but probably just number 2 if you've been through all of your other ones first. This one, the Dr. Kirk's is kind of a waxy feeling thing. And this helps to get some of that waxy feel off if you want to go on and do some more polishing on it. All right. For better or worse, there it is. No. Some people don't like that at all. Some people will like the wood feel, yeah. Well, where's Chris? Did he leave? Yeah, Chris makes pens all the time, and he knows too. A lot of customers don't like the plastic feel. I want a plastic pen, I'll go buy a plastic pen. But it's just a matter of preference. I like the shine, and I think it probably holds up a little better if it was done right than the friction ones. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't done any studies, but so here. The customer will buy what they like. If they don't like what you made, they won't buy it.
Epoxy or resin pins, do you follow this same step?
You don't have to put the glue on them usually. You just polish them. They don't usually, well, it depends. You can make I call them acrylics, but the acrylic pens, there's a lot of different resins they can use to make them, and some of them polish up glass smooth, and some of them are more of a satiny look to them. I don't know which one's which, and Chris would know, but he's not here. Some of the ones that have the satiny look to them, if you want them really shiny, then you would put a little bit of a CA finish on those, and they'll get shinier. If you break one when you're turning it, they chip way easier than wood. Some of them more easily than others. Some of the the resins chip more easily than others. Inlace is awful. Yes, I just made one of those. And it stinks too. But yeah, if you chip one and you don't break it real bad, you can fill it in with CA. Even if you wouldn't normally have done it, you can fill it in with CA and it'll look really nice. Unless you've got a big old chunk and you can hold it up and see the big old clear chunk on it. But if all you did was scratch it a little bit or break out a chip, you can stick back in with CA and go ahead and finish it over. You can save them. But
What's the key on acrylics is sanding to a fine?
yeah, yeah. I much prefer turning wood. That's one reason I started doing this, keeping on with this, is because I'd much rather turn a hard maple blank than turn in acrylic. If you've never turned in acrylic, it wraps itself all around your wraps itself all around your mandrel, it wraps itself all around your blank. You can't see what you're doing. You run off the end of the wood or off of the end of the tube, and surprise, there goes your bushing. They're beautiful. I mean, you can get some gorgeous acrylic pens. It's just they take longer for me, they take a lot longer to do. Have to be a lot more careful. And I usually turn those with a carbide tip instead of with the traditional tools. Thank you, guys. Thank you.